I still remember the first time I heard Blue Bayou. I was a kid in the back seat, windows down, and Linda Ronstadt's voice felt like sunlight on water. Now imagine that voice, one of the greats, going quiet. At 79, Linda can't sing anymore. Not a note. And that truth hits like a punch to the chest. But here's the twist. Her story didn't end. It changed. And somehow it got even more powerful. I'm Sarah Reed, and this is Golden American Legends. Today, we're walking through Linda's life. The rise from Tucson, the run of hits that crowned her the First Lady of Rock, and the cruel, rare illness that took her voice. We're going to talk about what PSP is, why doctors first thought it was Parkinson's, and how she found ways to keep living, learning, and inspiring without the gift that made her famous. Before we dive in, tell me, what's the first Linda Ronstadt song that lives in your memory? Blue Bayou? You're no good? Drop it in the comments. Because when we talk about Linda, we're talking about our own soundtrack too. Let's start at the beginning, where a border town childhood shaped a voice the world would never forget. Here's what I love about Linda's origin story. It's noisy in the best way. Tucson. A house full of songs. Mexican folk, American standards, harmonies at the dinner table. That borderland sound got into her bones early. She once said mariachi was her favorite music to sing, and you can hear that in the way she holds a note, pure, proud, and straight to the heart. As a teen, she played folk and rock around town, then moved to California. Picture the mid-60s scene, coffee houses, garages, and dreams. She co-founded the Stone Poneys, and boom, Different Drum hits the charts in '67. That was the first time many of us met that crystal-clear voice. It wasn't a whisper, it was a statement, I'm here. When the Poneys ended, she did the brave thing, she went solo. Early singles like Long, Long Time hinted at the power coming, but in 1974, Heart Like a Wheel landed and changed everything. You're No Good went to #1, and suddenly Linda wasn't just a singer in the scene, she was the scene. Her voice was wide open, and so were the roads ahead, and that's our pivot. Because once you're driving the highway, you start passing milestones fast. Ready to hit the peak years? Let me say it plain. The 1970s and 80s belonged to Linda Ronstadt. She could walk into a song from any genre and make it hers. Rock? You're No Good. Country rock? When Will I Be Loved? Buddy Holly swagger? That'll Be the Day. Pop power? It's So Easy. And then there's Blue Bayou, the one that makes time slow down. The numbers are wild, over 100 million records sold, 11 Grammys across pop, country, Latin, even operatic-leaning work. Editors started calling her the First Lady of Rock for a reason, because she stood toe-to-toe with the biggest names and then crossed lines most people wouldn't dare. She toured with the Eagles, then turned around and crushed standards on What's New, danced with Broadway in The Pirates of Penzance, and honored her heritage with Canciones de mi Padre. Every time the industry tried to put her in a box, she used it as a stage. But here's what always struck me. It wasn't just power, it was taste. She had a radar for songs that mattered, lyrics that held up to the light. That's why these records feel timeless now. So imagine this voice at full flight. Now imagine it starting to stumble, for no musical reason at all. That's where the heartbreak starts. I didn't see it coming, and neither did she. Linda thought she had a pinched nerve. Then a doctor said, I think you might have Parkinson's. For almost a year, that was the label. But it wasn't the whole truth. The final diagnosis was progressive supranuclear palsy, PSP, a rare, aggressive neurological disorder that looks like Parkinson's from a distance, but hits in different, harsher ways. What does that mean in real life? Balance problems, stiffness, trouble moving the eyes, and for a singer, the cruelest part, losing motor control of the vocal cords. Linda explained that very simply. She couldn't make her voice do what her brain heard. Imagine hearing the note perfectly and not being able to land it. On stage, she started leaning on her mariachi band to carry leads because getting through a show was so hard. Her last public performance was in 2009. She formally stepped away a few years later. PSP has no cure. She was honest about the shock. She said it felt very sudden, like her whole career flashed in front of her. And then came the everyday battles, brushing teeth, taking a shower, things most of us never think about. If you've ever lost something that felt like your identity, a job, a dream, a talent, you know that hollow sound. But Linda didn't just sit in the silence. She started learning a new way to live. Here's where Linda breaks my heart and lifts it back up in the same breath. She said, "I find creative new ways to do things. Eating is hard. I've had to relearn how to eat. That's grit with a wink." She talks about carving a new brain map if you're patient. That line sticks with me. It's science and soul at once. She wrote a memoir, Simple Dreams, and showed up for interviews and documentaries like The Sound of My Voice, not to chase applause, but to shine a light on the music, on PSP, on acceptance. She doesn't sugarcoat it. There's loss, there's frustration, but there's also gratitude for a full career and the joy those songs still bring to people she'll never meet. And the community answered back. Artists cite her as a North Star. Fans build playlists, trade vinyl, and fill tribute shows that raise money and awareness. Her voice isn't on stage anymore, but her taste, her choices, her example, they're still teaching. Quick question for you. What's the Linda deep cut you think new listeners should hear today? Put your picks below. Let's make a guide for the next generation. Because legacy isn't just what you did, it's what you help others do. This is the part I find beautiful. Even in silence, Linda's voice echoes. She changed what a woman in rock could look like, how she could lead, switch lanes, and still own the road. You can hear her fingerprints on country pop crossovers, on modern standards albums, on Latin projects that honor roots without apology. The honors reflect it: Grammys, the National Medal of Arts, and the Presidential Medal of Freedom. But the bigger tribute is the way people cover her songs with care. Knowing what she's fought through adds a new ache to every chorus. It reminds us how fragile gifts can be and how strong a person can become when the gift is taken away. So yes, at 79, the tragedy of Linda Ronstadt is beyond heartbreaking, but it is not the end of her story. Her recordings still teach us phrasing, power, and truth. Her life still teaches us resilience. If you're facing a loss of your own, take this page from Linda. Carve a new map. Be patient. Keep your heart like a wheel. I'm Sarah Reed, and this is Golden American Legends. One more beat, then I'll send you out with a smile. If this moved you, even a little, hit like so more people find Linda's story. Drop your favorite memory or song in the comments. I read them, and I love seeing how one voice tied so many of us together. We make deep dive stories like this every week on Golden American Legends, keeping the past alive and relevant. If you want more, tap subscribe and ring the bell. It's free, it helps the channel, and it means you'll never miss a legend. Thank you for spending time with me today. And to Linda, thank you for the soundtrack. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.